So what I want to do is I want to look at what I call the 3 pillars of a successful sales pro. And I want to align them with marketing to really just put an exclamation point on this whole concept. These 3 pillars are branding, visuals, and conversions. Now, both sales and marketing people can utilize these 3 pillars. And here's how. From a branding standpoint, if you are the brand, if you are the marketing team, you need to be thinking about the audience, the customer, understand the needs of the customer, understand the pain points of the customer, the emotion of the customer. I always like to use the word emotion because people buy on emotion, whether you're buying a refrigerator or a house or $1 million system in a business, there's emotion involved. We have to, as marketers, we have to develop the right messaging, the words that we string together that speaks to that audience and identifies and communicates the message that appeals to the emotional needs of the buyer. And then we have to communicate that. Now, in that one little word, communicate, I'm really covering the whole spectrum of communication. Print, broadcast, digital. Even those 3 words are broad, right? Print is anything from a billboard to brochures. Digital is websites, social media, anything online. Broadcast can be television or radio, or maybe, in my world, a podcast as well. And then from a marketing standpoint, the way that we do branding is that not only are we communicating our brand from the standpoint of building awareness for our brand, but if you're already an established brand like an American Family or a Nike or a Disney, then you're reinforcing that brand. I have not had the privilege and the pleasure of going to a sporting event here. Like I said, it's my first time in Madison. So I've never been to a local college event here. I don't know what the stadiums look like, but a lot of stadiums that I've been to, both professional and in college sports, I see brand logos all over the place, right? So perhaps you have that here as well, right? It's not unique to any one location. What are those marketers doing? They're branding, because they're not saying, oh, I expect you to buy from me just because my logo is on the wall. They're branding. They're either building brand awareness or they're reinforcing the brand so that you think of them when you have a need for whatever category that brand is in. So from a marketing standpoint, these are the things that we need to do for branding. But is it any different from a sales perspective? Let's talk about the individual salesperson. And I was having a conversation over coffee just 20 minutes ago about this. So what do salespeople do for branding? Well, they still have to understand the audience, just the same as marketers do. Have to understand who the audience is and what their pain points are and what their emotions are in the context of the product that you're selling. They have to then take the right messaging. I shared the story with you how in my career, early in my sales career, I, along with my peers, were frustrated with the messaging that was coming from the marketing team. So the salesperson has to really embody that message. So understand how important, from a marketing perspective, it is to develop the right message that the salespeople can really embrace and really take to market and use when they're having conversations with customers. Salespeople have to communicate that message. Now, this can be a little bit different than a marketer because the marketer is covering the whole spectrum of communication channels. But from a salesperson's perspective, what's one big form of communication that a salesperson uses every day? We all use it. What is it? Email. We all use email. Salespeople use email. So if you leave all the messaging, all the communication up to the salesperson, then you don't know what's going to happen. From a marketing standpoint, and as I said at the beginning of my 4-hour session here this morning, this is not all about social media. This is about marketing in a broad sense where social media plays a role. So back to this point here, a salesperson does branding by understanding the audience, delivering the right message, and then communicating it using the parameters that hopefully are provided to him or her by the marketing organization. And someone said earlier that the sales team is the marketing department's customer. And I completely agree. And then from a branding standpoint, the salesperson has to reinforce that brand over and over again by living out the promise of that brand. The salesperson has to reinforce that brand by being the brand. So the marketing department has to equip the salesperson with the communication, the tools, all the resources that a salesperson can use to be the brand. Now, in some organizations, depending on your organization, there's a hybrid. There are marketing people who function as salespeople as well, and vice versa. So perhaps some of what I'm saying here today, and if you're in a situation like that, you need to kind of wear both hats. Whereas if you are either in marketing or sales, and I would venture to guess that many of you are in marketing, then what I'm asking you to think about is to think about how these two exist both as silos, but how they have to integrate, how they have to be together. That's really the whole purpose of my session with you here today.